Hello, Gary Simon of DesignCourse.com. Today is January 29th with our 29th video of the year. And today we're going to initially work in Photoshop and go ahead and cut out our images and export them for use in HTML and CSS. And then we're just going to go ahead and get our HTML document ready to go. So tomorrow we'll actually start writing out all the code, and then the day after that we'll focus on CSS and finishing it up. Alright, so as always, DesignCourse.com, check that out. Also subscribe here on YouTube, and if you need access to the project files, they are available for free in the description of this video or on the video page on DesignCourse.com. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we need to consider is what can we create through CSS and what will have to be images. So before we get to any HTML, we're going to have to save out these images. And so basically, let's just get started from the top and down. Basically, the logo is almost always going to be an image. Even though we kind of have a type logo, we're just going to assume, you know, it can't be. So this will be an image in and of itself. The background here, like these blurred out line, of course, that will have to be an image as well. But I want to make an adjustment, so I'm going to zoom out real quick. I'm going to take my move tool with auto select layer on, just click anywhere so it selects it. Then I'm going to take the eraser tool, pretty large, maybe not that large, 367, and I'm just going to blur out the sides so that we really don't want any clipping. If somebody expands the browser and they see the end of this, then it's going to look, you know, crappy. So then I'm just going to go down a little bit smaller just to be sure and come down this edge. Hold shift, left click, hold shift. All right. And then also, of course, this is going to be its own image, a transparent PNG. This right here we can achieve through CSS alone. These two images obviously will be saved as well. And then the face and then this. So I think it comes out to like 7 images. All right. So the first thing to do is select our logo, and it's a type. Usually it would be rastered, so we'll just do that. Just right click and raster type, and then we want to go to hit Control A and then Control C. So we'll go to File New, hit OK, and also when you go to File New, make sure background contents is transparent. Control V to paste in, and then File Save for Web. And I'm going to use the hotkey for this from now on. And then we're going to save it as a PNG 8. And make sure transparency is selected and all these other options are there. It's only, actually, you know what? PNG 24, never mind that. It's almost 1 KB, which is obviously pretty low. So transparency is on, we'll hit save, and it's in the wrong damn directory. 1 sec. All right, I found where I want to be. So we're going to create a new folder for the whole HTML or the website project. So create a new folder called HTML. And then inside of it, we'll create 2 more folders, one for our CSS in the future, and then another one for images. And then we'll go in there. We'll call this logo. Hit enter. All right, so we'll go back to our document here. And the background, we're going to tackle that last. I just want to get all this ready to go here. And so we're going to save this image here next. All right, so make sure you click on it, and we do have 2 layers. This backstory isn't combined, so select both of those, hit Control E, and that will merge them. All right, so this one is a little bit tricky. Let me zoom up 100%. If we were to take this image and save it as a PNG 24-bit, let me just show you real quickly. We'll take, we'll go to just Control A and then Control C. That copies everything. Go to File, New, hit OK. Control V to paste. All right, so it looks like it would work perfectly, right? And it would, but if we go to Save for Web, and we leave transparency on, and we look at the file size is 30 KB, so that's kind of large, and that's usually what would happen for a 24-bit. So if you wanted to go down to an 8-bit, it cuts the file size in half, but there are, when it comes to the edges, you would see white pixels outlining it, and it would look like absolute crap. especially against the dark background, which is kind of what we have with that wine thing. So we have to save this differently. We have to copy the selection rather differently. And so here's what we need to do. So we'll take the lasso tool, hit Control D to deselect, and we'll just click on the outside anywhere. So it's selecting everything except for this. So we just have to go to select, actually first, before we do that, uncheck anti-alias. That's very important. So then now do it. Okay. So now we go to, actually it's Control Shift I, select inverse. And now we go to edit, copy merge. Now what copy merge does is instead of just copying everything on this layer, like it would if you hit Control C, it would not basically get the background as well. There's little tiny background pixels. And because the background is pretty much, you know, kind of a dark type of color, and it's not going to move much, this image, even when we're in responsive, we can get away with copying those pixels right there. So we'll go to File, New, Control V to paste. So now if we zoom up here, we can see that the background was copied with that, whereas we zoom up here, it was not. And again, that's fine if you want a large image in terms of file size, then it would work on any background. But this, we know it's going to work there, and we're going to get away with when we save for web that we can change this to a PNG 8. It's only 13 KB. We cut down the size big time. All right. So I know that was a little bit complex of an explanation, but it's worth noting. So this is going to be called phone-top. And we'll come back here, Control D, I'll zoom out just to see what's going on. And we might as well go ahead and just save that background image right now. So what we need to do is take with Auto Select Layer and a Move tool, we'll select everything up here. And we'll come down, we will hold Control, left click these two. And what we can do is just to see, you know, which layers that we've selected, we can turn those all off. And now we just have our selection in view. All right. Now, if these were already on one layer, those two, we wouldn't have had to do that. We could just select the layer and select this and Control C. But there was two layers down there, so edit, copy, merged, File, New, hit OK. Save for web, which is Control Shift Alt and S. We'll change this one to a, like for example, 153K is huge. If we change it to a JPG, even at a 92, even at high quality at 92%, we're only at 92K, which is a lot less. So for these type of images, JPEGs are a lot better to use, and we can also get away with really taking down the quality down to like 44 or 45, and you still can't tell any type of distortions too much. And we're at 24 KB. So I think I'm going to leave around 55. We'll save. And we will call this BG. All right, and if we want, we can get all those layers back. Just a couple more here. All right, so we have this image in that image. So basically, if we take this and Control A and then Control C it, and Control N for new and the header, paste it in, save for web, go back to PNG 8. Now it's okay to use PNG 8 even though we kind of just hit Control C instead of copy merged, and that's because it's going on an absolute white background. If you were to try to take this image that we save and show it on a black background, you would see white pixels, but we know it's going on white, so it's okay. So we're only at 6.8K, and we'll save this as, why do we keep on calling it a phone? It is not a phone. I've done this throughout the whole series. Breathalyzer. There we go. Breathalyzer. Breathalyzer, good. Yeah, because that was like the green or whatever. And then we'll just come back over here, select, I think it's layer copy 2, yeah. Select on that, just hit Control C because we already have the selection. We can hide this, and then just paste that in, save for web, And this is going to be Breathalyzer. Bad. Okay. All right, so we have a decision to make. Let's just select one of these. Basically, if we select on here, we have a border that goes around this, and we could either choose to save that a part of the image, or we can go ahead and do this with CSS. I think just to avoid going into too much detail for this tutorial, I mean, this is basically a beginner for website design. We're just going to include it as a part of the image. So what we would do is just take both of these layers, holding Shift and hit Control E, and now they are, basically on their own image. And for this one, I'm just going to use a JPG, and I'm not going to make it transparent. We know it's just this is the only area that it's going to be, the only background color that it's going to be on. So we just take this roughly around there and edit, copy merged, Control Shift N, hit OK. We'll save that for web. Save it as JPG. Take the quality up, maybe around 80. We're only at 5K, so that's good. And we'll save this as person. And then we just have one more down here. This is going to be a JPEG as well. And I'm not going to make it transparent or anything. I think it's fine as is. But if we select it real quick with auto select layer and then take the lasso tool, we can see how far this thing actually goes. You would think it may end here, but sometimes when you would cut it out right there, you would see when you put it on the site that there's actually you could see a faint line that cuts it off. So there's a couple ways of going about this. We could take the eraser tool and just kind of make it even, kind of extend it out further there. And now if we do the lasso tool, it's a little bit more even. I'm going to bring this one in a tad bit. We kind of want it to be even on both sides in terms of the width. So Control D. That's better. Okay, so all I have to do is just click on the outside, go to Select Inverse, and we'll take the square marquee tool and we'll hold Shift and then left click and drag right around there. Edit, copy, merge, Control Shift N, enter, and save that for web. And at 63%, we can get away with no visible distortions, and it's only 7 KB. So we'll hit save. We'll call this phone-side. Oops, I called that SID by accident. All right, so that is it for cutting out the images. So next, I want to get out my HTML editor, and I use something called Sublime Text, and I'm going to get out the website real quick. And you can download it. I think there's a trial, but it does cost money. $70. You don't need to buy this. You don't need to use this. I'm just letting you know what I use. If you don't have any money for anything that costs money, you can use Notepad. You can use any type of text editor to do what we're going to do in the next couple days and complete this. So let me just get that out. And that is right here. Basically, this is our folder that I opened up. So we have HTML, we have CSS, nothing in these, and then we have our images right here. So before I get to that part, I want to get back up that browser window, and right here, this is a framework, front-end framework, kind of like Bootstrap, if you're familiar with that at all. That 1140 pixel grid that I use, the 12 grid that I use, is actually from this site. And so in the future, I will do a Bootstrap tutorial, but if you go to 1140px.com, or I'm going to make this also available in the project files, you can download the source. So if you click that, I've already downloaded a few times. So once it's downloaded, you open it up in any type of zip application. you go to CSS. This is the file that we want to basically save to the CSS folder that we created. And so I just did that off screen, and we can close this stuff out or minimize it. And now we see our CSS file is in here. If you have no clue what any of this means, don't worry. We'll kind of get to that here tomorrow and the next day. So now what I want to do is create a new file. And you can do all this, remember, in a different HTML editor or Notepad. You don't have to use this app. And so this is going to be our actual HTML file. So if I go to Control S to save, we're going to save this just inside the HTML. We'll call this index.htm or HTML, whatever. All right, so real quickly, we are going to write out some HTML, but we're not going to get into the actual body of it yet. We're just going to get the head stuff done. So basically, the first tag that we use is HTML class equals do.js and lang equals en. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. So now we have our head tag. And I'm just going to come down just to close it, and then we're going to focus in the middle. So we have a variety of things to do. HTML, this is our first opening tag. So you know it's opened and it's not closed because we don't have this down here yet. But we're going to have some other things in here. So inside the HTML tag goes all of the HTML, of course. So the first tag that we usually use is head, and that will contain a variety of things which we'll focus on today. And then inside, after head comes the body. So we just do body for now, and then body here. All right, so this is a very basic structure of kind of how an HTML file is structured. So we have a variety of things up here, and usually I will just copy and paste this stuff. I wouldn't be sitting here typing each one hand by hand, but it's worth doing just for this tutorial. So meta char set equals UTF-8, and I am going to include this very basic file right here in the project file, so you don't have to type this out. I'm just doing this just on screen. I am going to copy this bit off screen, and these are all necessary for our responsive design. And we also have the title. This is basically on every site you need this. This is whatever shows up in the browser title, obviously. So we'll just call this iPhone Breathalyzer. Close the title tag. Man, I'm screwing up. All right, so then we have other meta tags. I'll just put these all together up here. Meta equals name equals robots, which are basically search engine spiders. You can put no follow if you don't want it to be showing up in search engines. And let's see if there's anything else that we want. Yes, one thing that's absolutely crucial is the viewport. Content equals width equals device width. Initial dash scale equals 1.0. And close that. And that is, if you don't include that, the responsive nature of the design won't work. All right, and so then we have to link up our CSS file. So the HTML for that is link href equals CSS / and I think it was 1140. Yeah, okay. CSS, and let's see here. Rel equals style sheet, type equals text CSS, and we are going to use a Google Web font. So let me get up the browser here, and if I just type in Google Web Fonts, we'll go here to this, just google.com/fonts. Type in source because that's the name of it. It's Source Sans Pro right here. And wow, they're being loud down there. All right, we click on it. You can click on over here for quick use. So you click on that, and then it allows you to specify the different widths, or weights, not width, but weights for the font that you want to use. Now remember, the more you include, the longer load time, because this will actually require a download. So I believe if we switch back to Photoshop here, we used the light here. I think we used light there. I don't think we used extra light anywhere. Usually I would include, I mean, for this we could actually get away with just one weight, I believe. So if need be, we can come back and just add it too. So if we need a bold version, which I don't think we do. So let's go back here to, yeah, here. We'll just change this to light, and automatically based on what you select, this code will update. So we need to take this, copy it, and then we'll go back to our editor and just paste that in right there. Okay, and then let's see, that I believe is pretty much it. And so now in here is basically where we're going to start with our HTML tomorrow. So if we save this and, you know, I open that containing folder, open that with our browser, we can see what it looks like right now, which is basically nothing. We just have our title right here. So tomorrow we'll go ahead and start writing out the HTML, and I'll be able to explain basically, you know, how we're going to use this CSS to structure the layout. And there we go. All right, so check out designcourse.com if you haven't yet. If you haven't yet subscribed here on YouTube, please do so, and I will see you tomorrow. All right.